Does it show you? Yes, we are live!
Yay!
Yay! I'm Victoria with Lead from Home, and I am so excited to bring to you Teacher Paige. We've got a new project, Navigating Student Success. Would you
Yes,
like to share a little bit about that with us?
absolutely. So I have been in the world of education for over 25 years. Yes, that tells my age to some extent. But I have been working with families and students in all different capacities. And when I started to really dive in what I loved the most, it was actually helping families navigate school from the headaches of homework to, what is the best transitioning from middle school to high school or anywhere in between. If they were having difficulties with certain subjects, where do we get help? How do I know how to do that? And so I have started this new business to try and help families navigate through school, because your kids are in school for at least really 13 years because of kindergarten. So let's see if we can do that together.
Yes. Is there a place that they can look for you for any tips and maybe resources to help them bridge that gap for the home part of it, the homework? I hate that word, but
Yes,
yes, the homework part of that and navigating the success. We are a partner in their education. So,
yes,
yes.
absolutely, Victoria. And so the with that, you can find me on Facebook, and it's Navigating Student Success, and also on Instagram, Navigating Student Success as well. And a website is coming shortly. And
Ah,
yes, there are links there for some. I have a great tip sheet that is on successful online learning, things that parents can help their students with to make it more successful. And I just released one for younger kids, tips on how to make homework more fun. So that
ah.
will be available as well.
Oh, that's great. I am definitely one of your fans when it comes to increasing success. There are so many frustrations because we're not, as parents, we're not there looking at how the curriculum was developed. We don't know the final objective. We kind of have an idea. So we're kind of having to connect those dots. And it's such a relief to know that there are resources out there and people who know, like Paige, a little bit more about that process.
Yes,
So I
yes.
wanted to ask you, I know I've had a couple of questions regarding feedback, and I just completed a series on increasing five apple feedback. I know that we've got different ways that across platforms that people are reviewed. What has been your experience with maybe five apple feedback in the past or positive reviews? That's really what I would call it.
Yes. Well, we want positive reviews, right? We do want positive
Yes.
reviews. But before I talk about positive reviews, I will also say that we can learn a lot from negative reviews. So, don't jump ship because you get one negative review. Just take it, learn from it, and realize we cannot please everybody.
No.
It is hard to do, and we're not going to be the end all be all for everybody. But positive reviews are great. They're great for a lot of reasons. They're great because they make us feel good. They validate that what we're doing is right, and they also, when they are seen by other parents, and they also help us grow our businesses. Um, this became evident for me first when I started working with VIP Kid. And it was the five apples were a part of your raise. So if you were going to get a raise, you had to have a certain percent of five apple feedback. So I'm going to get a raise. So I
Yes.
worked really hard to try and build my five apple feedback. Now you're talking across two different languages, so it is sometimes not construed the same way or not interpreted the
Right.
same way. But Victoria, I'm a firm believer, ask and you shall receive. So I ask. I ask from day one. And I just politely say in there, I would love your feedback. It helps me to become a better teacher. And I go with that. Now, some will, some won't. I think we live in a world where we are asked to give feedback on everything now.
Yes.
So in your email box, you're always getting this. So you're going to get some that do and some that don't. I think once you start building more rapport with your students, you can even ask a little more, you know, I guess ask a little more in depth, and I have said to mine before, you know what, I would love some feedback from you. The feedback does help me grow my student base, and they understand that. They understand this is a job for me.
Right.
Um, and if they like me, then they are going to want to really help. Um, but I do think feedback comes first from doing an outstanding job. I mean, if you're doing
Yes.
an outstanding job and what you're doing, your parents are going to really want to shout that for you. It's the same thing I was just talking about. If you have an outstanding experience, you want to tell other people about it. That's when the reviews start to come. So doing your best work is going to help you really get more feedback, I think.
I think you make a really good point. I was thinking about the one or the few times that I went out of my way to give a feedback, and it was unprompted. And it was
Mhm,
those times when the experience was unexpected. It made such an impact that it changed maybe my outlook, how I
mhm,
felt that day. And those are just really key points because as from what recent reviews and recent research proved is that with the updates in the VIP Kid app, parents have to kind of navigate a little bit more than they did in the past to find the place to put the
yes.
review. But you're absolutely right that as it starts with us providing a unique, a successful, really pleasant experience in the classroom, meeting those student objectives and lifting them up. So I love what you said. I also started early asking for feedback. I wonder, I know where I found the tip. Where did you find that? Or was it something kind of intrinsic, something that you knew that you wanted to do automatically? What did you know to ask?
Well, I have to tell you, I was told in several workshops that it's rude to ask for
Yes.
VIP Kid, that it was rude to ask for feedback. Um, but again, my thought process was, okay, it's rude to ask, but they want me to have such and such amount of feedback for a raise. And
Yes.
I also am a firm believer in feedback. Then that's why I said, the negative feedback as well. If I'm not doing something right, if you don't
Right.
tell me, I don't know. And at VIP Kid, the parent feedback is the only feedback you get once you're hired. You don't get a review, somebody watching you, or like when I
Yes.
was in the classroom, your principal coming in and checking it out. Um, the only real person that you have is the parent or yourself watching your feedback
Right.
to see how you did. So I really just said, you know what, I'm doing this. I'm just going to ask. And if they think that's rude, then they won't respond or they won't come back to me. But hopefully, I'm giving them a good enough experience that they will come back.
Yes. I know that we talked a little bit about the negative feedback, and I have had a couple of low marks, and they were invalidated because they were something like
Me too. Yeah.
time or something. But I did have maybe 2 4 Apple reviews, and I didn't count them as negative. I really, just as what you said, how else are we going to know? I had been teaching level 4s and 5s pretty consistently. I had a really nice base, and
Mhm.
then I had a voice of VIP Kid or something with really young learners, and my speaking speed was not at their level. So I
Yeah.
really appreciated that, just that one little sentence,
Mhm.
slow it down. And it didn't say anything about my engagement or rapport building. And I was really conscientious afterwards when I did. And ever since, I had a really good time in the classroom. So I agree with you that, that it's all about perspective, and
Yes.
if we're not, we grow from a place of we have to be open to that growth point. So I do want to ask, are you teaching on other platforms?
Yes. So
Yeah.
I am teaching on another platform that I absolutely love as well called Outschool. And if you're not on Outschool, you might want to investigate that. And I'm sure Victoria or myself can help you do that. Outschool is a little bit different in the way you are dealing with English speakers. So you can, the feedback translation is very easy because if you know on VIP Kid too, if they actually
Yeah.
write out something for you, sometimes it doesn't always make sense. You're like, oh,
No.
okay, I hope that's good. I hope that's not good, or I hope that's good. But Outschool, it's also very important because as you build your customer base, I try and go back and think about, and my kids are now in college and grown, but I've had to hire tutors because although I'm a teacher, I don't teach biology, I don't teach chemistry, I don't teach any math. And when I looked for tutors, I wanted to find what they were good at and also to make sure that they had good positive reviews. Um, when I used to do a little workshop at VIP Kid on building your business, I would talk to them about when you hire a tutor, you really don't care what they look like.
No.
What
No.
you care about is if they have the background and the ability to also bring that knowledge to your students' level. So that's where I think with Outschool, the reviews do help because it allows other families to say, oh, yes, people really liked this class. And I do ask with that as well after completion of a class or even in my ongoing classes, Victoria, I will go ahead and say, I would love your feedback. It helps people to find me as a teacher and helps me grow my business. They realize this is a job. I mean,
It is.
I teach because I love to teach, but I also like getting paid for what I do, just like most of us do.
Yes.
So, asking for feedback, I just don't find it negative, and I may be wrong. And some do, and some give me feedback. The other thing, before I forget, because at my age I forget things quickly, is to make sure to reply to your feedback. Thank them for doing it. If they're going, and we know we all live very, very busy
Right.
lives, if they're going to take the time to review you, positive or negative, then reply to them. And you know what? I guess being a Southerner a little bit too, a little bit of sugar and a little bit of honey goes a long way. So be very kind and say, thank you so much for your feedback. And just like yours, Victoria, when you said you got one that said your speaking speed,
Hmm.
that exact same thing happened to me, and the parent was right on. I
Yes.
taught mostly older students at VIP Kid, and I got a really young student, and I spoke too fast. I absolutely did not curtail my speaking speed, and I thanked them for that. I said, thank you for bringing that to my attention. I typically teach, and I did say the older
Yes.
students, and I appreciate you bringing that to my attention. So I turned it into a positive.
Yes, I agree. And then when we're candid in our responses, and I think yes, it makes us a little bit vulnerable because yes, we may be dependent on this for our sustainability, regulars, and what have you. But it also shows, I think, it's a great practice
Mhm.
to open up and allow that, like I said before, growth, and it really creates a good partnership with the parent. I'm always saying partnership because without that
It is a
communication,
partnership.
we don't grow, the child may not grow, and we can't accommodate the learner where they're at. And the whole
Yes.
point is to meet the learner where they're at. I think that's one of the things that the learning partners look for. So
Mhm.
I really appreciate you sharing that.
And I
I love it.
do, even in with Outschool, where it is a little bit easier because you can have the email correspondence for the VIP Kid
Yes.
teachers that are watching this. You can have email correspondence. Now, it's all done through Outschool. It's not your personal email. It does allow you to build a little bit more of a relationship with the parent that way. So I even say in there, even if they don't give me a review, I ask, I would love your feedback, your comments, your suggestions, because I'm always trying to grow as a teacher. So I
Oh,
always ask for that. Now, I don't always get it, but I do ask. And I think it allows people to say, like you said, I'm human. I am going to make some
right.
mistakes. and I want to meet your child where I can meet them. So help me help you, and we can get there together.
I love it. I love it. My next question, this is more about Outschool. When I had seen a recent process, I heard this process, and it was really kind of targeting those positive reviews and just kind of rapport building.
Mhm.
So after, I know you mentioned that after the class, you send the email out and definitely make it personalized, individualize that letter. Do they have templates for that, or is there a place where teachers can kind of find an idea for how to frame their language?
So I have a template for that. And I can give you that link so you can post it with this video would be great. Yes. So
Oh, yes,
I am all about not recreating the wheel. And
yes.
so I actually just cut and paste a lot and just have to add a few sentences. And I will be honest with you, at VIP Kid, I had a template as well. And I just added a few different things for each student. And I will tell you just a little bit about my feedback because I think this is important. When I was a teacher, it was important to me to give a positive, something to improve, and end on a positive. And that's really how I did my feedback at VIP Kid as well. I started with something very positive because everybody likes to hear good things about their kids because our kids are the best, right?
Yes.
No one better. So they like to hear positive things. They're also here for their kids to grow. So they do want to know something that they can work on. So I always gave them something that they could continue to work on. And then I ended up again with the positive. And with that positive, that's where I put the feedback in there. And so I think that part is really, really important to make sure you're giving positive, kind of negative, positive. And I just went on a tangent. And so now I forgot what your original question was. So tell me again.
That's okay. That's okay. We were talking about where we could get the templates and
Yes, the templates. Okay, yes. So the templates, and so I just created for a welcome email and then my first class email. If for some reason, and if you're not familiar with Outschool, you can cancel a class if you don't have enough learners. So you have a lot of control over your classes. So I made a template for that as well. If you don't have enough students, what would that be? So that I could just cut and paste so that I wasn't having to retype everything every single time. So I will share that with you, Victoria, so you can share that with
yes,
everybody too, because I am all about please don't recreate the wheel. Just do it and make
right.
it your own. Change it however you need to change it. I will tell you, if you're growing your Outschool business, one of the things that I did do in the beginning is I did try and build a lot of rapport with my families through the email communication, through when I'm in the classroom, just trying to get to know the student, asking questions about things they like so that I can kind of use that throughout my lesson. And after each class, I actually do a classroom email, but I would also individually email families. Now, that takes a little bit more time, and I don't do it as much now that I have my business kind of up and going. Periodically, I will, and especially if it's a kid that I think would be interested in another class, I specifically email them. I'd love to see them. I think they would love this class. So it can take a little bit of time, but having run a business in the past, I know that that time will pay off because it is a lot about relationship building.
I think you make a really good point about the because it's online, we have just a little bit more of a challenge to make those connections. We have a limited time in the classroom because classes are timed, and then
Yes.
a lot of that happens on the back end. And it's really great that the time saving tip of a template helps, and keeping those key informations like student name and kind of maybe one exciting thing that they have that happened during the lesson with that student, those help personalize and create that relationship even beyond the online platform. So I think those are excellent tips. Is there one thing that you would like to share with new teachers, whether they're Outschool, Pellfish? Oh, hi, teacher Audrey. Hello. Thank you for joining us. And or for Outschool or VIP kid, any new teacher, maybe they've not had any experience in the brick and mortar classroom, what would you say would be a great tip for them?
Well, I'm going to say don't give up, because I get
Yeah,
emails from a lot of teachers that say, oh, I'm doing this, but I don't have many students. I'm not getting many students. It takes, even for me, and I've been teaching a long time, it took me a while to build my business. It took a while to get those students on coming back. So stay positive. That's my big thing, is stay positive. Negativity doesn't do anything for any of us but pull us down. This is the other thing, I would absolutely stay away from any of the Facebook groups that are negative. You
exactly.
only want to surround yourself with positivity, because and when I first started with VIP Kid, and that was my first online teaching experience, I, of course, went to Facebook groups. I was trying to learn as much as I could, and I would get pulled into that negativity rabbit
Yes.
hole sometimes. And that, I just said, you know what? I'm not even. So when I actually was working with new teachers, I told them, I said, I don't even want you on Facebook, period. Go off of
Right.
Facebook. If you have questions, ask me. So, because there is nothing worse than to get pulled down into that negativity. Stay positive, stay learning. And I think that's really the biggest tip I could give for them, is to stay positive. It will come. If you talk to any
Right.
VIP Kid teacher or Outschool teacher, they did not show up the first day. If they did have a full class, it was kind of a fluke, I promise you, or a full day, it was kind of a fluke. I ran a business and I opened a business, and I can promise you, day one, I didn't have one customer. Day one, when I opened a
Right.
business, it took a lot of hard work to get that doors and get people coming through the door. So just know it is a business. And a lot of people, I think, Victoria, forget this is a business. Um,
Yes.
it is a
You are the
business.
product.
You are the product. So remember that you are the business. People buy from people that they like. So be likable. Smile,
Yes.
smile,
I love
and
it.
just be welcoming to your students and loving to them.
I love it. I love that idea that we are the product, and that part of it is just marketing ourselves and knowing that it is a process. We are building our product, our honing our skills to make ourselves marketable. And one thing that you mentioned in not so, just what I understood was consistency. Consistency in the way that we develop rapport, consistency in being present in the classroom, our teaching styles. I really like all of those themes that help us just grow. And it
Mhm.
doesn't matter the platform. I think those are pretty relevant across
Across
just
everywhere.
teaching, yes, across anywhere. So I know we were just going to chit chat for a little bit, and I really value your time, Teacher Paige.
Oh,
What, what would you like to share for anybody in the online teaching platform?
well, first of all, I'd like you to give yourself a big pat on the back. So Victoria's done a great job. And it's, you know what, it's new for all of us, this online
Yes.
learning. And I think it is truly where we are going, not just for kids, but for adults as well.
Yes.
And we need to just do our best to make online learning fun for the kids. They are sitting on the computer, especially if you're with Outschool, and also with VIP Kid, because a lot of those kids are still online too. They
Yes.
are sitting on the computer all day. So try and make your class as engaging as possible. And I think from a teaching background, and also from your background, Victoria's, we don't know what these children's lives are like every day.
Right.
So I try and go in there and think, if I can be one positive thing for these kids every day, that's what I want to be, because I don't know when they shut off this Zoom screen what they're going back to. Um,
Exactly.
so I think that is just a really important part of online learning. You mentioned that, when I was in the classroom, I could physically see my kids. I could see if there were
Yes.
changes, if there were bruises, or if there were certain
Mhm.
things that I could alert. I can't do that in this type of classroom. So all I can do is just be very kind and encouraging in that
I
environment.
I really appreciate your final thoughts on how we are in the classroom, and just really being present, observant, and aware. So I say thank you, Teacher Paige, and you've
Oh,
given us a lot of information to go back to. We'll be posting and sharing her Outschool referral link in case you're interested in Outschool, navigating student success. Again, she is on Facebook, she is on Instagram, so definitely follow her. And she's got YouTube videos coming
yes.
to help support you. And don't forget, we talked about templates for time-saving tips. I wish
Yes.
everybody a wonderful Friday. Happy fall, y'all. And I
Bye.
will
Thank
see
you,
y'all next
Victoria.
time. Thank you, Paige.
Bye.
Bye. Yay.
Yay.
Bye.